This is a Mr. G production. Hey everybody, we are back for another lesson with Mr. G. Hope you're all doing well. I miss you more than ever, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of your projects get turned in. You guys are doing really, really well. I'm so proud of you. You have no idea. This particular project is going to be a sculpture project where we're going to be building things like that stack up and connect to each other. Except we're not going to use this or any of this or any of this. We don't need this. We're going to be using a technique using slits or notches in paper to connect things together. So let me take these out because we don't need them, like I just said, and we'll begin. So first things first, we have different things at home to use for this project. Some people have more things than others. I know I have some copy paper and some line paper, and I have some other kind of material which I'll get into in the next video. This is video level 1 for paper sculptures. This is just a basic how to connect things together, and then I'm going to go over in video 2 on how to make them more artsy and adding patterns and designs and other things that make things more interesting. And then we're also going to go over in level 2 how to turn things that you might not even realize that are sitting in the house that can be turned into art, which is really cool. So let's start with, plain white paper if you have copy paper. We need to make shapes out of it. Squares, triangles, circles, whatever it may be. We know that we can use rulers to draw lines. We've gone over things like that where you can literally just see something and draw it like this. You can draw a line and a straight line down and another line this way, and you create a rectangle. Now I'm guessing here because I didn't really measure it exact, so I'm not sure if it's exactly perfect, but I do know that this part is flat here. I want to make shapes that are flat on bottom, and let me show you why. We're going to be using materials that have to sit on a surface. So in order to do that, it's got to be level. That means flat and even. Now, in order for these to stay together, we're going to be using our technique, which, like I said, is called notching or slits. I'm going to take this piece of paper here, and I'm going to fold it in half as best I can. Now, we're going to get to how to make these shapes in a minute. I just wanted to show you first the basic way to make the connection, and then you'll understand why we're making the shapes we're doing. I'm going to take this thing here. It looks kind of like a big wide book. It doesn't have to be this exact way. And I'm going to draw a line. Now, normally we would draw it from these directions. This time we're going to go up and down, like we're reading the book, but it's going to go up or down. I'm going to draw a line that goes maybe down a little bit. I'm going to do a dotted line there so you can see that. That little line represents what I'm going to cut through both layers. So you can see that. I'm going to take my scissor, again, carefully, and I'm going to cut straight as I can following the other edge, so they kind of line up with each other. You can see that there. You can see it went through both. Now I'm going to open this up, and now I'm going to put it down here. And I'm going to take this piece here, and another one, I'm just going to fold it. And this one, I don't have to put notches in. Oh, no, I don't need that. Because those 2 notches I created in that paper are going to act as the, let's call it the glue. Even though it's not really glue, the force of the papers is closing down on itself, forcing the papers to stay together. And the reason why it's staying exactly level with each other is because I cut those lines or those slits at the same time. So they stay nice and level, and thus it can stand up. If I wanted to add another one, I could simply take this, fold it again the same way in half. This time I'm not going to draw a line because you know we're going to go up or down. This time I'll make it a little closer to the fold. You can see what it did there. I made that little slit there. It opens up, and those 2 slots there. Take this, and as you notice, each fold reverses. One went one way, one went the other way. Now this one goes back. It becomes a pattern of arrangement in the shapes themselves. So I'm going to connect these together here, and you have to remember, one of this project's elements is having a lot of patience, because you're working with the material and you're not using the typical glue that we're all throwing in and sticking things together with. So you got to have patience as you're doing this in order to get a successful result, or at least a result that you're happy with. And you can see here I connected them. They are symmetrical, and you can see here. And now I can lay that down there like that. Now, right now it's just rectangles and plain paper, But we can make squares, circles, and triangles, other shapes that connect to these as well. So I'm going to put that down there for a second, and then I'm going to show you how to make some basic shapes before we get to anything else. So let's say I'm using, go back to this paper here, and this line I have, it looks fairly straight. I can cut it and use that piece. But if I wanted to make a really straight line and I didn't have, let's say, a ruler, and I couldn't measure, I could actually fold my paper like I was making a paper airplane, and then make a nice fold, and then continue to fold the paper. Doing this is basically taking the big shape and breaking it down to smaller shapes. So now we've got 4 rectangles. You can see here, rectangle. If I can fold it again, which I'm going to do, you can see I would continue to get smaller and smaller shapes. Now, if you're using paper like line paper, the line's already on there, so it's a lot easier to draw the lines you want to cut on, because most of the lines are there already. You can see I pre-drew some lines on line paper. I only had to really worry about the up and down lines. The other lines were there for me. But the downside of this kind of paper, it's a little bit lighter weight. So it's not as strong of a paper. So in this case, you have to be more aware of that when you're building your sculptures, that it can't get quite as big the way that maybe a copy paper or even a drawing paper would be. So I did those folds enough times where I was able to actually get, and I outlined the lines so you could see these different shapes that I can then turn into my sculpture. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I took it one level further. Yeah, I did. And I even drew another line there. These are all simple folds. The reason I did that is I had to assume that someone out there doesn't have a ruler. Someone might not have a straight edge. And guess what? If you don't have a straight edge or a ruler, or I could have used a simple piece of material that you can find around the house. It might be from a product, a box, an envelope. This is a straight edge as well. So to draw a line with one of these on to be straight is very simple. You simply just line up your lines and use the edge that you have and boom, cut away. And turn it, follow it, make sure you're lining up your line so everything looks square, and cut away. And this is where a parent can come in to help out, to explain what square means. It means the lines on both sides are 90-degree angles. So you're creating shapes that look like rectangles and squares that are very easy to work with. If I wanted to make a triangle is, there's different ways to do it, but I'm going to show you one way. Now, we already know we're going to be folding this paper and making sculptures out of it. So I'm going to take this paper, I'm going to fold it in half, and I'm going to use this just to make shapes. I don't care about the rest of it and the scraps. I'm taking this like a book, I'm going to close it up, and I'm simply going to just draw a line using my cardboard straight edge here. This is kind of like when we're doing like holiday cards. We fold like a book, then we draw shapes, then we cut them out. Now, if I was to cut through both of those, now again, please be careful when using scissors. You could see, after I'm cutting with that, here's my triangle. So now this triangle could actually, if I wanted to, I could take this and pull that guy out of there and put him in here. And I have to put my slots in there. Forgot about that. And now I'm going to cut my slots straight up, not too far. You'll kind of get the idea as you're working with this project when you've cut too much or not enough in terms of the length of your slot or slit you're cutting, because you'll realize that there's it'll feel right when you're doing it. And this one attached really nicely, and you can see it's holding together. Now, by no means can this thing handle a rainstorm, because it will fall apart. It is just paper. But what's nice about this is you can then, once you've gotten your shapes, you can then experiment with the order of them. Now, one more shape I want to show you is a circle. A circle, you can make a circle from tracing something you have in the home, a lid of a product that you might have in the cabinet. One of my things, I used a ball and I simply put it down and traced it. So I've got my circle already. If I was to fold my circle in half, because let's say I wanted my circle to be the bottom element of my sculpture that I'm making, simply fold it, make the line nice and strong so you can see it, make it real easy to see as you're cutting it, and then when you're cutting across it, just be careful and watch your fingers and cut straight through the fold. Now, these two pieces now could be folded just like the others. This one now, forget about the triangle, I'm gonna put the circle in there. Take this out, put my notches in where I want them to be. You're gonna get the hang of this real quickly, I bet. cutting that out, and then I'm putting them together here and here. And there we go, it connects. So it's kind of cool. You can actually arrange these in different ways and have fun with that. Now, this is level 1 video. Level 2, which is following this one right after this, goes into it more, adding designs and patterns, more than just connecting things together, but looking and thinking outside the box. What can you use around the home to turn into art if you didn't even have paper? Or if you wanted to try something different. I have examples I'm going to show you in a little bit in the other video. So please tune in to see things like this, which is fun to look at. See, patterns are added. And I should have showed you this a little while ago. This is a rectangle, square, and a triangle just stacked up on top of each other. And you can see they just notch in and stay. Nice and fun. And if any of you out there have a parent or guardian who feels confident they want to add a little dab of glue at the very end, I'm not going to stop you from doing that. These aren't glued together. There's one actually I did experiment with, but when you're doing that, the weight of the glue itself can outweigh the paper, so you got to be real careful. So, and tape itself can also be hard to work with if you want at the end to put it together, because just getting it to fit in there without tearing it apart is a challenge. So we've now successfully created a piece here that can be lifted. Again, be aware, if you're making something lightweight using the thinner paper, it's not going to stay together as easy. So you need to be aware of that when you're making it. So let me make sure I didn't forget anything I want to go over for this video. Paper weights. Oh, and I should have mentioned this. If you look at this, some of you may know the word symmetry. Because we're folding these and putting them back together using the same slots on both sides, we're getting a symmetrical creation here. So it gives you balance. So if you see from this direction, it looks like it's, let me make sure you can see it the way I'm seeing it here. Yeah, it's symmetrical there, you can see that. Ooh, hello. And pretty much every sculpture here is going to have that attribute unless you alter it on your own, which is more than okay. You go for it and have fun. So we've gone over that. Reverse folds. Oh, and you understand that each fold reverses. So when I reiterate that, it's very important. If you try to take these and put them together this way, that's not going to work. You need to reverse them each time. This way, they have balance and they lock together well. So if I wanted to add a third one to this one, I could simply just have taken another one. Again, reverse it, boom, connect it, and you'd be good to go. So you follow that method. So thank you for listening to this video. This was the level 1 video. Again, tune into level 2. We'll go over the other things, getting fancy with designs and patterns and thinking outside the box and being real creative with this process. And you'll see things like this one here, which I look forward to showing you. Castle. So to see that, you've got to tune in to see it. And I'm going to show you one more. Which one would I show you to get? Oh yeah, let's show you this one. This one's a fun one to look at. I'm going to show you how to do these also. So tune in to level 2 after you're done with level 1. When you're comfortable with the notch technique, we'll move on to that video. Have a great day, and I'll see you a little bit later in video 2. Bye.